Today I've traveled up the 59 freeway to the charming little town of Splendora, where I'm meeting with Missy Sadler White, who is a Splendora native, so that we can explore this growing town. Since I'm not very familiar with the area, I figured who could better lead me around than a local realtor, and Missy was kind enough to do that. Our first stop on the tour was the Big River Water Park right off of Highway 242. This is huge.
It's very big, and they've talked about building also like a hotel and convention center.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but I don't know, how far along they are with that, because that's just been in.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, with the way that Splendora is growing now, and everybody's talking about Valley Ranch, and I understand they're building a big, like an amphitheater for concerts.
Yes, they are. It's almost like what you find at the Woodlands is what's going to pretty much be at Valley Ranch.
Wow.
So,
see, people will know Splendora for sure then.
Yeah, but they'll have festivities out here too, especially like 4th of July. They'll have fireworks and, family gatherings out here. So it's pretty neat. It's just a nice little break to get away, and you don't have to go far.
Yeah, it's so close, right?
Right.
That's nice. And chances are you're going to run into somebody you know.
Absolutely.
It's still a little bit small town.
Yep.
Which is nice too.
And a lot of times, even when the kids, when they're finished playing their community ball, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, what have you, they'll have team parties. And so they can come out here and gather as a team.
How fun.
And have some fun and cool off,
See, I feel like Splendora is living life the way that a lot of us remember living life but don't get to anymore.
Right.
Like, it's still such a nice little town.
Yeah, they're still a close-knit, especially when kids are involved in all the activities that are offered.
Yeah, so what's the big stuff out here? Like, I know we're going to go see the ball fields.
Mm-hmm.
Is there like a lot of soccer? Do they do?
So soccer out here is not real huge yet. I mean, like, they have a soccer team for the high school and such, but they also have the community soccer, but that's through FFPS.
Okay.
And so that's an organization that's pretty much all over, and that's typically played there on the fields where Greenleaf Elementary, I guess, used to be. It's right by 2090, on 2090, kind of by the post office area. So there's fields that they have out there. It actually, back in the day, used to be the old high school football field.
Oh.
Because that's where the high school was. Back in the day, the high school, elementary, junior high, and intermediate was all on just in one area. And so I remember as a kid being in elementary, if, we were outside or whatever, and my siblings, they were in high school already, I could see them walking to lunch or walking to and from their classes, So
how fun. I know you have such good Splendora back in the day stories. I can't wait to hear them all. Well, let's go ahead and go across the street and check out the go-karts. Well, even in the middle of the week, like, this place is popping.
Yeah, they probably have, serving some lunch here. I haven't been out here during the lunch. But yeah, so
fun,
that
that's
over
a
there
big
is the
go-kart track.
It is. It's the speedway over there, and a lot of times they'll hold races where people come in and they actually go over here and race.
Really? Oh my God. Yeah. That's got to be exciting.
Yeah.
Well, then what a great setup, because then I can hear the music.
Yeah, and people will bring their RVs and they'll set up all, kind of over in there.
Really?
It's kind of hard to see from here, but in this place will be full because of people coming in, and like I said, they're racing. So,
well, how fun! You can't do that in the big city. I want to see this. I haven't been in here.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. I mean, you have different varieties of things, and then, like I said, usually over there at that building where the big screen is, they'll use that as a stage. And they'll bring entertainment in. I mean, they've even had wrestling going on out here with the big ring. And
how funny.
yeah.
Wow, so I bet this is like the place to be on a Friday night.
Friday and Saturdays, yeah.
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 Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Like, this is really cute in here. You have a ton of different food choices too.
Yep, there's food choices. There's also like daiquiris and such. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I think I'd be here like every weekend. Like, what a great place to just come hang out with friends.
It gets packed. Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets packed. And I love the tables with the swings.
I know, that's so cute. Okay. So I feel like Splendora, even though it's growing, is still really like deeply rooted in like family, community, because everything just seems to be set up that way, right? Even the neighborhoods. And
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's so many people that they, are still here that were raised here. I mean, well, I guess I'm one
You're
of
one
them,
of them.
Yeah. But yeah, so in fact, at one time, I left, and it was one of those things where it was like, I'm never going back. You know how that is. And well, I came back, and I actually raised my son here, and he graduated Splendora High. And I did want to point out about Splendora ISD is, and I don't know if you knew this, but many people don't, but Splendora ISD actually offers an early college program.
Okay.
And so the kids will start that in the 9th grade, and they'll take some college courses. And by the time they hit to be a senior, they can graduate with not only their high school diploma, but also their associate's degree.
Yeah.
And that's at no cost to the parents.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, I mean, it actually gives the kids a head start.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So it's great, right? So Splendora has all these great, like the school is doing big things. I know they're growing. Mm-hmm. I'm involved in my town with the high school marching band, and I've seen in the last few years, especially, all of a sudden Splendora is showing up and, at contests. And I mean, they're growing right along with the town with opportunities for the kids. But then you see these things like the water park, and knowing that the little league team can come and have their after season party there, and right. People can meet here on a Friday night, and you still have that nice community, close-knit hometown feel.
Right.
Yeah, that's nice. What a great choice. Like, if you're looking to raise your kids somewhere where you want to be involved and you want to know what your kids are doing and you want your kid to have opportunities, Splendora is a great place to do it.
Oh yeah, and it's grown with those opportunities, because before we didn't have a lot of opportunities, but now our kids do.
Yeah.
And
we're not far from Houston.
Absolutely not.
We're maybe 7 miles from the airport, something like that?
No, we're further from the airport than that. We're probably about 20 to 21 miles from the airport, but it's a breeze to get there, because 59 is now 4-lane road, right?
Yeah.
So but we're about 8 miles, I think, from the Valley Ranch Town Center, where that has a lot of your dining, your shopping, and your entertainment when it comes to the theater that's there, and then also the new music venue that they're putting in there. And even at the Valley Ranch Town Center, they'll still hold like July 4th Fest as there too, and they'll bring in people, entertainers and such.
Yeah, I saw at the water park when we were leaving out that they have like a after dark like pumpkin patch.
Yeah, so they have all sorts of activities that'll go on.
Yeah, that's fun. Okay, cool. Well, I hear that baseball is kind of a big deal around here, so let's go check out those ball fields. So this is the t-ball field.
Yes.
This whole side you said is the baseball side.
This whole side is the baseball side.
There's 3, 4, 5 fields?
Yeah, because they split it up to like pee-wee, our tiny tots, and then t-ball, and then you have coach pitch, and then you'll have your minors and your seniors.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess everybody plays baseball out here.
Yeah, and it's really big in the spring. I think they have some fall ball going on, but in the spring it's huge. But
and right then they here have softball fields.
Those are the softball fields. Yep.
And then what's the covered area?
It's a pavilion just like this one here where they can just sit out.
Oh, yeah, okay, with picnic tables.
Yeah, because this one's like, here's the concession stand here, and then they have one over there.
Wow, what a complex. I had no idea this was here.
Yep. And so here's the field of the little T-ball World Series
I have
champions.
to show this because this is just the cutest thing I've ever seen. Look at that, the 2018 T-ball World Series champions.
Yeah, that was a big deal. It was a really big deal.
Yeah.
It was really cute too. And they treated them like, you know, big stars, which is really cool. They even got their little rings, and it was really cool. The community came out. And
so let's see. So they were probably, what, about 4 or 5 there?
Yeah, so T-ball.
It was 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like high school now. So they should be good.
Yeah.
My expectations
they should be playing on the high school team.
Yeah. Oh, how cute. And then there's a playground over here.
Yeah, there's a playground, and then batting cages over here, which that might be their batting cages, because I see the pavilions over there for them as well. So that they may have batting cages for the softball side, but this is the batting cages for the baseball side. I spent many a days out here in evenings. Yeah.
You know what? It just strikes me because Splendora is so close to the Woodlands. And so I think that it's easy to compare in regard of when you have big, beautiful trees everywhere, right? And the Woodlands too. Everybody talks about family, and you know, and I know like they're all for everything for the kids. I mean, their high schools, their programs are the best, and all of that. But I think too, the Woodlands is busy, a lot of shopping, I think it's just a different feel. And you living up here, maybe you can speak to that. But to me, Splendora just seems so much more relaxed and really just truly family focused, as far as not getting into the rush of the day or being like the best, but just enjoying each other.
Right. No, I had a lot of fun up here at these fields watching my son play, but also his friends, you know, and it's awesome too, because you spend so much time with these kids that, you know, they're growing up while you're watching them grow up. And, you know, now my son's in college and so are his friends, you know, and some of his friends that he played ball with, now he rooms with, you know, and so it is a sense of family in that matter. Yeah.
And I think just at a slower pace where you do get to just sit back, watch them grow up and enjoy life.
Yeah.
And it's, I think, still more affordable. So again, you get to enjoy life.
Right. No, for real. Like, you know, the tax rate out here is not that high. You know, each area has its own, so right here, we're actually in the city of Splendora. So the neighborhoods around this ball field is in the city of Splendora. So the tax rate might be a little different than, you know, in the other neighborhoods. But yeah, so it is a sense of family, community. Every year, the city of Splendora Police Department, for Christmas, they also put on like a toy drive for the kids in the community. You know, usually it's like a bike. A lot of them have bikes, you know, that they get for Christmas and stuff. So that's really neat too. They'll have a big parade for the kids, and it'll go down First Street and then come down Ipes. And the kids get to decorate. Usually it's the coach's truck or car, whatever. They'll decorate it, and they'll come here, and there'll be a ton of vendors set up out here. It's just fun, you know, and even on the weekends and all, this place is packed because everybody's here watching, you know, their child or their grandchild or friend's kid, you know. But yeah, it gets really full out here.
How fun. Cool.
You know, it takes a village to raise kids, you know, and out here, that's what you get. You get a lot of people that are willing to, you know, help, and they treat your kid just like their own. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, you and I are both involved in a transaction in Townsend Reserve. So let's head over there, and we're going to look at some houses and talk real estate. So how long have you been a realtor?
Since 2008.
Okay. All right.
So
So
I've been in the
okay.
business for quite a while. So I have seen many of changes.
All right. Like, what are the most notable changes?
Oh, goodness. Well, now one of the things we have to do before we even show homes is we have to have a buyer rep agreement. Whereas
Yeah.
before we had to have it, but we really didn't have to get it until it was time to turn in our paperwork.
Yeah.
You know, but now it is required before we show homes that we have got to have that buyer rep agreement.
So has that changed the way that you like your approach with buyers? I'm just curious.
It has, because I have to bring that up to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to explain, look, it's not something that I'm requiring, it's required by law. Before I can even schedule a showing through PAR or anything, they will ask for the buyer rep agreement. Even with builders, sometimes they'll ask, you know, if we have one. They don't necessarily have to see it, but we have to have one. And if we don't, but we say we do, and we go ahead and do the showing, at any point in time, PAR or TREC can come back on us, and you know it could ultimately lead to a realtor having to pay fines.
Yeah.
You know, but it is a little difficult sometimes, because I think as a buyer they feel like they're getting trapped into something, right? Mm-hmm. You know, thinking, well, why do I need to sign that? And I don't even know if I like this house or what have you. So we have a short form and a long form when it comes to the buyer's rep agreement. So let's just say I have a buyer come to me that I have not worked with before, and they're interested in a listing, and they called me up, you know, or I was referred to them, or what have you. So if I know it might just be a one and done, I'm going to show you this and this house only, then I can do a short form when it comes to just that home. But in our conversation and learning more about what they're wanting and what they want to do, then I can present them the long form, and it basically gives a start date and an end date of our working relationship.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So.
But you know, I think you know, because I come from an area originally where, and from a brokerage where that was mandatory, even back as early as 2000. Like that was our brokerage policy. And so I think I've just always been accustomed to that, and I couldn't understand why somebody wouldn't, just looking at it from that perspective. And I know that there's lots of opinions on it and everything else, but we always kind of approached it as, I mean, you're providing a service, right? And so it makes sense. And if you're really going to represent that buyer, their best interests, and not just at the contract negotiation table, but you do so much work to set up a good search for them, to preview homes for them. That's a big service. And so I think rightfully so, that buyer broker agreement or that buyer rep agreement makes sense.
Right, and you know, like I said, at the end, that's where a lot of us used to do it, and then send it in. I guess because, you know, since it's all changed with the commission as well, it was just typical that a seller would typically pay both sides, buyer's agent and seller's agent, although it's always been negotiable. Mm-hmm. But it's just been pretty much a rule of thumb that that's just kind of the road that everyone went down. So I think back then maybe it wasn't a huge deal to get the buyer's rep agreement up front, right? Yeah. Because now this buyer rep agreement basically states we have a relationship, and if we get into a contract and the seller's only paying 2%, you know, and you've agreed that I get 3%, will you pay me the other 1%?
Yeah.
You know, and you're right, there's so much work that goes into this, you know. I mean, there's so many times where I have spent my wheels, you know, and
literally driving. Houston's a big place.
Everywhere, and there, you know, I spend them, and you know, my gas, my time, and nothing comes of it, and that's just the name of the game, right? But there is so much more than just. I think people look at realtors as they just open doors and smile, and that's not the case. I mean, there are so many times I'm up until 11, 12 at night trying to get something done, you know, and although I am with my family, say I'm sitting there working, I'm not talking to them, I'm focused.
Yeah.
You know, just for instance, I just went on an Alaskan cruise this summer and I was writing a contract on the cruise ship, you know, looking out, sitting on my balcony, looking at the beautiful scenery, which you can't beat that. But, you know, it was still, so it's time and a lot of money that goes into it.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. So you were born and raised in Splendora. You said you moved away for a little while, but then you came back. And so is most of your business centered in Splendora, or you're equally parts all over the place?
Pretty much all over the place. I mean, I do have a lot here in Splendora. And to be honest with you, a lot of my business comes from referrals. So I'm really appreciative of that. But yeah, I've gone as far as Tomball, you know, out in the Conroe, Willis area. So
yeah. So Splendora's a little place, still a little bit, but it's growing and it's growing fast. So if somebody's interested in a place like this, how beneficial do you think it is that they're using a realtor that really knows the area versus a realtor maybe from, you know, like Pearland, who's like, oh yeah, I can meet you up in Splendora on Saturday?
It's very beneficial because I can't speak for all the other realtors around here, but for me, I would be able to tell you, oh, hey, this place floods, you know, or hey, this used to be this or that, or you know, give them pointers for around the town, you know, such as we did today, you know, give them history, you know, and I think that makes a big deal for a buyer because it also helps when they're trying to choose a place. The more they know about some place, right, the more they may feel like, okay, this is the place for me, or you know what, maybe it's not.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So there's a lot of new construction communities, but we did a little driving around today too. And there are a lot of houses out there with land. And so it's two very different type of purchases. So with those older or like, you know, rural properties, what do you really look for, like, to represent your buyer well? What can they expect with those type of properties? Because sometimes I think it's romantic and you know, like, oh, I have an acre, like nobody's going to be around me. But I think there's a lot of pitfalls that if you haven't lived on rural property before, you don't know.
Right. So if someone is coming from the city and they have not lived on acreage or even grown up around acreage, they may not know that, hey, you may have a septic, you may have a well, you know, don't forget that you're going to have to maintain all of this area, right?
Yeah.
And so those are some of the things that need to be pointed out to them, you know. Now, on the other hand, too, you may have an area that's, you got all this land and it's not restricted and you can do whatever you want. And that's the other thing where they have to understand that if the neighbor decides to put a lot of cars or a used car lot next to them, well, it's unrestricted, you know. So I think you have to weigh out the good and the bad on what you really want.
Yeah.
You know, because of course, if there are no HOA, you know, dues to pay and it's unrestricted, then that's just what it is.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So the new home communities that are going in here, there's quite a few. A lot. So I know, like, we're standing here in Townsend Reserve, and this is Legend Homes. Next door is the Canopies, which I think is D.R. Horton.
I believe so, yeah.
I think there was a little bit of Lennar in here. Presswoods, is that also D.R. Horton? I think.
I think Presswood is D.R. Horton for the most part. I think it's D.R. Horton Express.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you know what that express means? Can you explain that?
So the express models are not your top of the line models. It's not your you know, granite countertops or even your laminate flooring. It would mostly be like the linoleum type flooring that's just in a roll and they roll it out and cut it to fit. You know, so it's more of your starter homes maybe for those that are just starting out and maybe, you know, that's what they can get at the moment, you know. Yeah. But that's what the D.R. Horton Express is. It's just, It's not that it's a bad home by any means.
It's just not customized.
It's just not custom, no.
Yeah. So when you see a house with upgrades, right, that like whether backlit mirrors and cabinetry hardware and fire pit, and I mean, how do you educate your client on how those type of upgrades pre-sale add value to the home?
Well, first and foremost, I tell them it's something they don't have to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's already there. And it just kind of puts the sprinkle and the cherry on top. You know what I mean? Because they can come in, it's already done, it's turnkey ready, and they don't have to sit there and go, oh, well, I'd really like to add this or that. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Now with you guys in the backlit mirrors, those are awesome.
I know. I really want a backlit mirror in my house too. Yeah. But I think people don't realize, like, for example, window coverings. That's expensive.
It is very expensive.
And you can't move into your house without them because you're going to give all your neighbors a show.
Exactly.
Like, it's something you have to address immediately. Right. And if you just used all your savings for your down payment, what are you going to do?
Right. Because it costs to buy a home. And, you know, especially on the buyer side, there's so many fees that go along with it. And if they have to turn around and buy a house, like you said, that needs window coverings, or they just don't like the globe that's on the light fixture,
or appliances.
Appliances, yes, good point. You know, so these things add value. You know, it really does.
Yeah. So I know we were talking earlier, and you were saying like I would not want to be a young person right now, and the reality is it's tough. I mean, it is doable, but it's a struggle. How do you help your first time home buyers to get into their first home?
Well, so first and foremost, I tell them the difference between a pre-existing and one that's newly built. And one of the things I point out is with the pre-existing, most likely they're going to have to pay for a survey, and that costs a lot of money too. You know, whereas your one that's already a new construction, they have it, right? And also with new construction builders, a lot of times they offer incentives, you know, and so that helps with closing cost or like the upgrades that's given to them, you know. So, and I tell them too, look, your first house is not your forever home, because it's just not. You know, they may be here 2 years, 5 years, but it's not their first home. And so if they can get a little help and a little push in the beginning to get them started, they get into something, they build equity up in it, then they can move on and then get something later on that they really want. You know, not to say that they don't want the house they're buying, right? But it just, with a new builder, there's just a lot of incentives that come with it, and I think it's only smart sometimes to go that route.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you, I know we've talked a lot today too about feeling torn between Splendora is a small town that you grew up in, and everybody was like in a single school campus. And now you've got, I saw like down the road, right? So now it's the old junior high, it's the 6th grade campus, and they've built this beautiful new junior high, and then they're building new elementary schools, and it's growing. So how do you feel as a realtor in what buyers in the Splendora area, in like, let's say these new construction homes, can feel comfortable with, like for their outlook of their property value and the equity growth?
Oh yeah, it's only going to continue to grow out here. So the value out here is just going to go up. I mean, I've seen that with just in the last couple of years. The value out here is going up, and that's one thing about a home. It always appreciates. It doesn't depreciate. Of course, it depends on location too, but with a lot of the newer neighborhoods and even pre-existing homes, it's almost like now the schools are so spread out that you have somebody that's over, they don't have to travel 15 minutes just to get their kid to school anymore.
Yeah.
Especially in elementary, right? And now it's just right around the corner. So that makes a difference. And I think too, like when people are looking, like younger couples or those that have still school-age children, that's a big deal.
It's a big deal. Okay, well, where are the schools? You know, how close in proximity are they to the house that I really want to buy, right?
Yeah.
It makes a big deal.
Well, Missy, I just can't thank you enough for taking me all around and showing me the sights of Splendora. I had such a good time talking with you, and you just gave us such good information. So I want to thank you for that as well. I hope that our listeners enjoyed, and I hope that everyone will please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.